It's 2026 and I keep hearing that cold email is dead. If I had $1 or £1 for every time I heard that, I would be a millionaire and I wouldn't be doing this video. But here's the truth. Cold email is not dead. It's your infrastructure that's killing your cold outbound. Now, at Peerflow, which I'm the founder of, we build infrastructure for SaaS teams which will allow you to build a pipeline that is profitable and healthy without burning your domains, without killing your inboxes or killing deliverability. So in this video, I'm going to briefly explain why your infrastructure is really important and why it should always come first over the spray and pray approach to email marketing and cold outbound. The typical approach is always to take 10,000 to 20,000 leads, put them in one file, and then send a massive email out to them over a period of a few days. And then you wonder why your results are not getting where they need to be. And you also wonder why your domains are getting burned so quickly. Now in 2026, it's really important to understand that volume is your enemy, okay? And it's not there to actually build your business in a way that is profitable. Now, 4 or 5 years ago, volume was all the rage. People would take a list from somewhere, barely qualify it or verify the emails or enrich the data. And then once they've done that, they'll put it into a single campaign. And from there, what they would then do is blast the email out to the whole list of people, and that would be it. And they would do this without applying any kind of logic, rhyme or reason. And that is what was killing deliverability. A few years ago, that approach worked. You'd get a few meetings out of it, you'd get a few sales, and that's it. But there was no longevity. There was no logical rhyme or reason to this whole process. Now, we're in a place at the moment where email service providers like Google, Microsoft, Yahoo, etc. have really started clamping down on email sends. All it takes is one reported email as spam, then that's it, your domain gets burned, okay? So you need to set up an infrastructure and prioritize that over. In fact, going for a smaller volume of leads is getting better results for our clients at the moment than anything else out there. So it's really important you understand that. Now look at it this way, right? In the eyes of Google and Microsoft, you're a sender, okay? Here's a mistake a lot of people make. They buy a domain. So let's say, for example, your company is called acme.com. You'll buy a domain called beacme.com to send your emails. You buy that domain, you set up a couple of inboxes on it, and then within a day or two, you'll blast 200 emails to your preferred lead list. That is what's going to trigger the spam filters. ESP providers like Google and Microsoft will see that as, hold on, this domain here is spiking very quickly and it's a fresh domain. We're going to blacklist it. This is a spam thing. And that's it, you're spam. So even if you write a really award-winning email copy, no one's going to read it because it's going to end up in spam. And that's the first mistake that a lot of people tend to make. They don't focus on infrastructure. They just want to apply the whole spray and pray approach. And that's not working anymore. Here's one which I always end up laughing about. Volume is king. In fact, volume is not king. Volume is a killer of your email campaigns. Now, the way we're seeing it is like this. Let's say your durability is really high, but your positive reply rate is really low. And your logic is, let's send more emails to get a more higher positive reply rate. You're already killing your deliverability and you're actually paying money to not be seen. Volume is not your friend anymore. Precise, targeted, smaller lists are your best friend. And when you have that in place, your volume will not matter. What will matter is that you will have a smaller list, which will be highly segmented, highly targeted, and the messaging around it, i.e. the email copy, would be a lot more relevant, which means you'll possibly get a lot more positive replies. So volume is not the king anymore. Always remember that. I keep hearing this day in, day out. Let's just add more leads to the list. Let's just send more email. It doesn't work like that anymore, unfortunately. Copy, email copy that is still very important. It's important, but it's also not the most important thing, believe it or not. Because what's the point of writing award-winning copy if your emails are landing in the spam folder of your prospect? So what you need to focus on is this. Getting your email into the actual primary inbox of your prospect, that's 60% of the battle. The other 30% is going to be your targeting. Is your email copy relevant to the list that you're targeting, i.e. the leads that you're looking to target? 10% is the actual copy. So as I mentioned, even though copy is important, it's not the most important. Goes back to the whole infrastructure thing. Your infrastructure is way more important than the copy, because if your infrastructure is right, then I've seen copy, which is almost blunt and rude, get 10% reply rates, positive reply rates. So what does that tell you? So infrastructure is always going to be top of the priority list when it comes to setting up a cold outbound system that works. Multi-million-dollar SaaS companies end up getting the inbox by doing 3 things really well. First is setting up a really good infrastructure. The infrastructure is really, really important. So you need to focus on that before you focus on your offer, your copy, your lead list, and things like that. The second thing they do is they regularly check to make sure that the data is well aligned. What that means is they check their bounce rates, they check their inbox deliverability and placements, and they check their analytics to make sure that the positive reply rates are not too low. So understanding the data that you get back is absolutely key. Copy is very important because that's what tells you or your prospect who you are, what what you're doing and how you can help them. But again, as I mentioned earlier, it's not important if they can't read it, especially if they land up in the spam folder. So it's really important that you focus on the infrastructure first, because that is what's making people win. It's not about spraying and praying to, thousands of leads in a list. It's not about sending out tons and tons of emails or thousands of emails per month. It's all about infrastructure. If you're struggling with outbound and building a profitable pipeline for your business, then click on the link down below. There's a free guide that I've put together which will go through everything you need to do on your end so that you start building an infrastructure that is sustainable. Listen, building an outbound infrastructure is not that hard, but it's also not the easiest thing. Cold email is not dead. It definitely works. You just need to stop acting like a spammer and start focusing more on infrastructure engineering rather than blasting thousands of emails to thousands of unqualified prospects and hoping for the best. Spray and pray does not work anymore. It may have worked 4 or 5 years ago, but now in 2026 and beyond, it's not going to work. You need to have precision focus, laser targeted lists, and a messaging that is really working well. But behind all of that, you need to have an infrastructure that can support that. If you don't have that, then you don't have an outbound system, and then your pipeline will suffer. Down below is a link for you to download our free guide, which will walk you through step by step on what you need to do and what you need to focus on when it comes to building your infrastructure. Alternatively, if you don't want to do it yourself, then down below is another link where you can book a call in with myself and we can jump on a call, have a chat, and see how we can potentially help you. If you found this video useful, give it a like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff, and I'll see you on the next one.